And I commend this bill.
I call the honourable member Grant Roberts.
Mr. Speaker, I am sick to death of hearing from this government that the people who are to blame for the situation this country finds itself in are the most vulnerable people in our community. That side of the House needs to take some responsibility for the fact that their economic mismanagement is what has led New Zealand to be in the position it is in today. We have a situation with unemployment going up, and my God, it would be higher if more than 50,000 people hadn't gone off to Australia in the last year. This government's done nothing to create jobs. This government's done nothing to improve our current account deficit. This government's done nothing to improve wages. This government's done nothing to find job opportunities. But day after day in the media, they come out with diversions and tactics to blame the most vulnerable people in our community for the situation we find ourselves in. And as Jacinda Ardern has already said, what have we heard about the government's welfare reform program? What of people who don't spend all day analysing every bit of this legislation? What have they heard about what the government's approach is? What they've heard about are people who fail to meet their obligations, people who don't get their kids into early childhood education, who don't take them to the doctor when they're sick, who are not part of a well child program, people who need to be drug tested, people who have been arrested. They're the messages the government's sending. That's the message the government wants people to hear. They don't want to talk about their poor economic record. They don't want to talk about the fact that hundreds of jobs are being lost every week in this country, that there are no jobs, Melissa Lee, for the people to go to who might well be work ready. Those people do not have the opportunity to get into work because there are no jobs. And yet the finger of blame gets pointed every day by members opposite. When people in privilege blame the most vulnerable for what's wrong in society, that is wrong. That is the wrong approach from this government. It is wrong, and it is a failure of leadership of this government to resort to blaming the most vulnerable in society for the problems that we face. But worse than that, Mr. Speaker, every single time there's a problem for the government, if it's John Banks or it's high unemployment figures or whatever it is, Paula Bennett rolls out a re-announcement. She comes along and she re-announces one of these punitive measures just to make sure that everybody's reminded that those people who are shirking, those people who are dragging us down, will get them. And every single time it diverts away from this government's failure to provide leadership in the economy. This government has let New Zealanders down and sets about a smoke and mirrors approach that says there's someone to blame. And Mr. Speaker, we've had enough on this side of the House of this policy of fear-mongering and exclusion. There's people out there to be fearful of. There's people other than you that are ripping you off. You've got to look out for them, because if we solve that, everything will be fine. Well, I've got a message for the government, Mr. Speaker. It's not like that, and it won't be fine, because the real problems relate to the economy of this country and the exclusion of people who cannot achieve their potential because this government won't really invest in them. And to use rhetoric like an investment approach, the real investment that this government could be making is to help create jobs. The real investment this government could be making is to actually invest in skills and training for people who are out of work. And that's what happened when Labor was last in government, Mr. Speaker. The reason we got unemployment so low is that we took an active approach. We took an approach to investing in people. We said, if you need skills and training, we will help you to get it. And we did that through things like the training incentive allowance that this government cut. And we had an active case management process because we believe social security should be a springboard into work. We believe social security should be a springboard into a better life. But this government doesn't believe that. This government says this is the way that we can get to people and fearmonger. This is the way that we can exclude people from our community. Well, I think that is a disgraceful approach. What is needed is actually some hope for these people and some inclusion in society so that they actually feel they've got a place and a role. Of course people shouldn't be getting benefits if they're not entitled to them. Just like, Mr. Speaker, that people should pay their fair share of tax and shouldn't avoid their tax if they're on a high income. We don't stand for that on this side of the House, whoever's doing it. But that's not the issue, Mr. Speaker. That is a diversion. It is a diversion from the government's total failure to come up with a plan that will actually move people into work, because the key to moving people into work is to actually have jobs for them to do. And week after week in this House we hear about the jobs that are going from this economy. Week after week we hear about the impact on families, and yet the best thing this government can do is set up straw people for people to look at and say, if that's solved, everything will be all right in our society. It's not true, Mr Speaker, and it's a shame on this government that they use the most vulnerable people in our community to play that kind of game in politics. Mr Speaker, the Minister in introducing this bill talked about social obligations. On this side of the House, we agree there are obligations of citizens and there are obligations of government. Where are the social obligations of this government? Where is their investment in housing and in health and in education, in the things that will actually enable families to improve their circumstances, to grow their wealth, to contribute to society? Where is that investment? Instead, we see things being cut all across the country in health services. We see a lack of critical investment in housing. We see a lack of investment in education. We see education in this country from this government at the moment is seen as a cost to cut rather than an investment in our future. They are the social obligations of a government, and this government is sadly lacking in them. And the social obligations of a citizen go hand in hand with the social obligations of a government. It's called a social contract. It was the basis on which the social security system in New Zealand was established. And this government is failing its part of the social contract. It has broken the social contract. And if people on the other side are breaking the social contract, that's wrong. But what kind of example are they getting from over there? What kind of example are they actually getting from this government when it comes to social obligations? But again, it's the rhetoric of obligations from this government. People are not meeting their obligations. Mr Speaker, whatever few people there might be out there who don't meet their obligations, they are outweighed tenfold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold from people who just want the best for their children, who just want the best for their family, who want to get into work, and they are being let down by this government. Time after time, Mr Speaker, I have people in my electorate office who want to do the best for their families, who want to do the best for their children, and they are not being supported by this government because they are not investing in those people. They are not giving them the skills or helping them to get the skills. They are not supporting them to get the health care that they need. They are not providing the kind of social housing that's needed so that people are healthy. The investment approach, the social obligation of this government is totally lacking, and they stand up day after day in the media and try and send that message of fear and exclusion. Well, on this side of the House, we are sending a message of hope and inclusion to people. We will work with people who are on benefits to make sure that they have the skills to get jobs. We'll invest in an economy that helps create jobs. We'll make sure that there are opportunities for people to train. The jobs are being lost under this government, and they blame people for not taking them up. They're not there, Melissa Lee. That's why people aren't moving into work. And once again, Mr Speaker, we have a social security bill in front of this House that preaches all kinds of things about how the minister cares for people and wants to cajole people into work and uses phrases like investment. And the reality is that every single day, government members go out and engage in dog whistle politics that sets to drive New Zealanders apart. The Labour Party does not believe in that, Mr Speaker. We believe that we are all in this together, that we need to work together to support people into work, give them the skills and training, help create the jobs. That's what the Labour Party will do, and that is why we are opposing this bill.
I can.
Mr Speaker.
That's.